Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Scott's Thoughts. I'm Scott Benedict. There's been a lot of buzz recently about comments made by Amazon CEO Andy Jassy suggesting that e-commerce will eventually take over all of retail. Now, it's an interesting statement, but the data tells a different story, and one that's far more nuanced, I think, frankly, and encouraging for physical retailers or for retailers who operate with both stores and online. So let's unpack that a little bit. Even according to the U.S. Census Bureau, only about 16% of all retail sales happen online in totality. In other words, an online purchase who begins and ends online and results in delivery to home. Now, even if you include the biggest holiday periods, e-commerce peaks around 20 to 20%. That's pure e-commerce. So the idea that online shopping is going to replace physical stores doesn't line up certainly with that data point. Now, if you go further and look at some data from companies like Forrester Research, they project that by 2029, e-commerce will represent roughly about 29% of U.S. retail. That means still that $7 out of $10 will be spent in store. That's where the transformation, I believe, is starting to happen, and that's in the area of what I call digital influence, purchases that even if they end in a physical store began with a digital element. And here Forrester has some interesting data. They estimate that by 2027, nearly 2/3 of all U.S. retail sales will be digitally influenced, meaning consumers start their journey online, research on their phones or check reviews on their desktop computer, or in some cases discover products on social media before ultimately completing a purchase in store. So in my mind, digital has already won the journey, but not all transactions happen in digital. In some cases, they happen at a register in a physical store. Now let's talk a little bit about generational trends, because even the youngest shoppers, those that we may view as more digitally savvy, perhaps, they aren't abandoning stores either. Gen Z shoppers may be what we call digital natives, but surveys show that over 60% of consumers in that age group prefer discovering new products in physical stores. They value the social aspects or social elements of the experience, the ability to touch and try on products, and the instant gratification of encountering a product and walking out the door with a purchase right then. Millennials tend to lean more digital, but they're also the biggest users of buy online, pick up in store, which still drives them to a physical store location. And for Gen X and Boomers, stores remain essential, especially for product categories like groceries or home goods or big ticket purchases where they trust and prefer that interaction with a product. So what's really happening, I think, in my view, is not the end of stores, it's the reinvention of them. Retailers that blend digital discovery with in-store experiences, from mobile apps to personalized recommendations to BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store, they're the ones that are really winning share. And so the future isn't really about e-commerce versus stores. It's digital plus stores, in my mind. So while Amazon may see a future where everything is delivered to your door, the rest of retail, I think, is really building a future where digital empowers the in-store experience. It doesn't replace it. And that, in my mind, is where the real opportunity lies for all of us in the retail community. That's what I've been thinking about. I'm Scott Benedict.